All right. Welcome, everybody, to Sim Golf Show. This is going to be episode 4 and our very first guest ever on the show, Judd Shea, a.k.a. RunPuddRun. Thank you very much for agreeing to join us today.
Yes, appreciate it.
Yeah. We definitely we're definitely gonna ask you to be on the show at some point, being one of the most well-known designers of courses on GSPro, but little controversy in the GSPro world this week, so we thought we'd bump it up and have you on. So yeah, but to kind of kick it off, could you kind of give us a rundown of your background and how you got started designing virtual golf courses and what that process is in GSPro? Because not everybody knows how these courses get created and uploaded for everybody to play. So
Yeah, for sure. My background is actually in marketing. So I was kind of an IT marketer. I worked in Salesforce.com and Eloqua design, which is an Oracle product. I did that for about 20 years. And my company went through some changes and some layoffs. And about 3 years previous to that, I was building courses as a hobby. I wanted to build my own home course. And kind of that's how most designers get started. They want to play their own home course. So they just figure out how to do it. And that's what I did. So how I really got started like full time. I do this full time. It's my job now. So I got laid off and I was like, let's just see if I can make this work, and just put everything I had into building courses. And, here I am. So I built, over 190 right now, I think. So
wow,
quite a bit. But yeah, so in terms of like actual course building, it's part of the OPCD process. And I don't know if a lot of people are aware, but GSPro and the courses and SGT are completely separate entities. So OPCD is the course design tools, and that's what designers use to build the courses. And you have to go through that process to get a course on GSPro. And then our courses live either on SGT server or our own Patreon. So I think there's only like 4 designers now that have Patreon, maybe 5. Greg McDonald's is the newest one. So,
and SGT is the simulator golf tour. So
yep,
which
GT is Simulator Golf Tour. So
also separate, right?
Yep, and that's also separate as well. So in the beginning, every course went to SGT. That was the only way to get a course onto GSPro, and that's it's kind of changed now that they've opened up Patreons to a limited number of people. So, I mean, you obviously don't want new designers, every new designer having a Patreon, because you want to maintain quality. You don't want it to be, a TGC where there's thousands of every single course and the quality just goes down and down. So,
and the courses are still built in Microsoft Paint, right? Is that what they're supposed to use?
I think so. Yeah. Apple IIe.
Yeah. Unity. Right.
Yeah.
So your main business, you will design an individual course that you're commissioned to design by an individual or the golf club itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got your Patreon, which is a subscription service that you've got a bunch of exclusive courses that people can subscribe to. Is that right?
Yeah. So the reason I think TechBud was the first one to start a Patreon, and I was shortly thereafter. The reason I started it is because I was building like low poly courses for my kids, and a bunch of people had asked me like, hey, can you build these like simple courses, like cartoon looking courses? And GSPro didn't really want them on the server because, they're lower quality and they're not really, realistic or what GSPro was after at that time. So that's why I started my Patreon, and it was like 7 or 8 low poly courses. I have like some like Mario themed courses and just kid friendly courses, really short, and they're still on there now. And once I got a little bit more established, I started putting my exclusive, I added like a second tier to my Patreon, and now I have a bunch of exclusive courses on there, and my higher end builds go on there. And I do a really nice course once a quarter for all my Patrons, and that lives on there just to maintain the value for the people that subscribe to me. So yeah, I think I have 47 or 48 courses on my Patreon right now, and like 150 in GSPro itself. So
what's the cost right now from lower end to higher end? What are they going for now to have a course built?
So I start and it really depends on the course. Like if a course, and I do it all on an individual basis. So I look at a course. if it has a lot of bunkers, if there's a lot of houses, if there's a lot of trees, and it really depends where the trees are. You know, as an established designer, I know looking at a course like, oh, that's going to take me a long time. If a course has larger forests and not a lot of individual trees inside the course, I know I'm going to have to hand plant a ton of trees inside the middle of the course if there's one. But if it's just forests on the outside of a course, that's a lot easier because we can use what we call biomes in our Unity tools to build that. So those are different things that, you know, factor into how much it's going to cost. But typically between 1,300 on the low end to however much you want. I built courses for over 5,000 for people if they want every single custom. So we know those
detail.
Yeah, those courses take a long time. So it just depends.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but basically anybody can take the time to learn and build their own course. Like you said, that's how you got started, but only you have to meet certain criteria to be able to charge for courses and have Patreons, right?
Yeah, you have to have 5 courses built to become a licensed designer. I don't think that's changed. I think it's the same. So yeah, and I don't even know what the criteria is to have a Patreon anymore. You need pretty explicit consent to do that, and I know a couple others that have tried and they've gotten taken down. So I was one of the first ones. So I've been here. So I don't know.
So in the course building process, the way that you guys do this is you start with LIDAR data. Can you kind of talk about how you're able to make like perfect recreations of these courses?
Yeah, so LIDAR is obviously the first step. You need very accurate LIDAR to essentially start a course. It's the bones of a course. Without good LIDAR, it's really hard to make it accurate. And the newer LIDAR is so much better than old LIDAR. Like different like parameters you look at when you're looking up the data, and all the data is freely available either from the USGS site or, you know, county or state websites. It's all on there. So just LIDAR is the first step. Once you have that, we use what's called Inkscape, and you spline out the course, which is it's pretty much like adult coloring. You just trace out every single aspect of the course. I mean, some people hate the splining stuff, but I actually like it. It's kind of like relaxing to me. And then once you have that, you basically, and this is where the OPCD tools come into effect. So you take the LIDAR and you take the splines and it combines them and spits out basically what are called meshes in their FBX objects in Blender. And that's like, Blender is a 3D modeling tool. From there, you can do whatever you want. Like there's so many different, and they've added so many more cool tools to the OPCD tool set inside Blender. You can get custom vertex paint everything. You can make the bunkers however you want. You can add bridges. You can, you know, add water and all this kind of stuff. So, and then once you do that, you export that to Unity, and that's when the fun starts. Because once you export that, essentially all you have is the course. So, it's just like all the course planes, like the fairways and the greens, the bunkers, all that kind of stuff. It's just that with the terrain, but they're FBX objects instead of just the terrain. And that's when you plant everything. You plant the trees, you plant grasses, buildings, houses, all that kind of stuff. So that's where the creativity comes into effect. You can change the colors. A lot of people use satellite imagery for their colors, and not all satellite imagery is great. A lot of it's really bad because there's shadows and trees and houses and all that kind of stuff. So you can go into Photoshop or GIMP, what a lot of guys are using because it's free, edit the satellite imagery to make it look good. And within Unity, the OPCD tools, we can adjust the colors and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of freedom. Like we can do essentially whatever we want. That's why the range of courses in GSPro is like so vast, because you know, you look at a beginning designer, they don't really know what they can do yet. So they're kind of just starting out. So the more experienced designers kind of know the ins and outs, and it's still like I'm learning every single course. I'll mess up almost every single course, try new things and stuff like that. So that's how you learn.
That's something that Derrik and I were just talking before we started recording, that I was saying, you know, compared to some other like simulation software, GSPro, you know, the courses look different. In some other software, it's like they're different courses, but they all have the same look.
Yeah.
And so like what you're saying is even the designer's touch
Right.
can give courses certain looks, and there's kind of a range. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at my courses, like I try to make all my courses look different, but if you look, like at TechBud, he has a way of doing things. Pac-Man, he has a way of doing things. Amaze, he has a way of doing things. Greg McDonald, the new guy, he is doing all those cool fantasy courses. He has a way of doing things. And so everyone has their own kind of look and feel, but they're all different. So everyone's different. That's what's cool.
How much of a nightmare is it to build a course for someone for a course that you've never seen? Because that seems like that would be so hard to get the feel right.
I mean, I say this to all my clients, like I'm pretty good at it now. Like if I have a picture or, a couple pictures, a lot of, with YouTube, there's so many flyovers, even people, just random people like Derrik, you've probably taken a video of you playing a course. Like,
right. Yeah,
I'll find a video on YouTube of someone, I'll just look it up and say, even if I just have like one hole or a guy making a shot, I can get a good look and feel from that. And so that's kind of what I go off of. And I do a pretty darn good job. People always are, astounded, but like, wow, you actually did a really good job. Like I can get 99% of the way there. And then, I always send clients, they have a chance to make changes and things like that. So, yeah.
My home course just showed up the other day. I don't know.
What was that?
JC golf course.
Okay.
JC public golf course.
It's hard, but I've gotten good at it.
So you mentioned fantasy courses. Greg McDonald he just did Sanctuary Moon, which has been a big hit. So when you do a fantasy course, you're not like trying to replicate something. It's all, how does that work? I mean, do you start with LIDAR data from some course and then do stuff on top of that, or are you just totally from scratch?
I mean, there's different ways of doing it. Like I've built, I think, 9 fantasy courses now. So the first one I built was 3-Jack National. I don't know if you guys have played that.
Yeah.
So,
I pulled that up once.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun because I lived in Kansas City for about 18 years, and Club Pro Guy is from the Kansas City area, so he was really popular. But for that one, I just took a flat terrain and just started modeling the course, like, and it's crazy on there. Like that course is insane. Like if I was going to redo that course, I would just delete it and start over because I did such a bad job. And that was my 3rd course I ever built, I think. So new guys starting with a fantasy course, it's pretty insane. Like it's like, I wouldn't recommend it because it's double the work. But like, there's different ways of doing it. You could start from a basically flat terrain in Unity and just model it that way. I've built like 5 or 6 courses like that, or you can start from, find a golf course and just kind of change the terrain to your liking. And that's what's cool about Unity. You can make your own course. Yeah, I mean, you can design your own course. The Central Park courses, those are fantasy. The North and the South, those started with the flat terrain. Those took me forever. I wanted to make that like as realistic as possible. And I did that with Art Dyer as well. He built all the outside buildings and everything, which is just incredible. And I think that could pass for a real course, and that's what I think is cool about it. So, yeah.
And that one, you've got all the driving range games, which is always popular. Do you see? I mean, I don't even know what question to ask about that, other than like, I don't know how it's done, but like, are there more capabilities for games like that coming, or how do you see like those games evolving over time in GSPro, just like they are in a driving range for a course, or
I think
people love them?
So we can do whatever we want. Ryan, so our Dyer, the guy that built those, he built Riverwalk, which also has a ton of games on him. He was the first guy that built the Target Golf, the one that got taken down. He built that, and then he built Riverwalk because of that. And a lot of those games, he added, I think, 3 more games to the Central Park ones that was on Riverwalk. But he's the one who kind of just went down that road and just figured it out and started building more games. And he got the GSPro devs to add the capabilities, because we can't we can build them in Unity and make them work in Unity, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll work in game. So the devs had to add, some back-end stuff to make them work and things like that. So my answer to that would be, is if we can build it, they can make it happen. So it's just people who want to do it and time and effort.
So that makes sense. So like, you guys had the idea of how this game might work, and then you kind of sent it up the flagpole and be like, hey, we need this capability to make this happen, and they got it done.
It's just scripts and stuff, just Unity scripts is all.
Cool. So, I mean, driving range games, fantasy courses, all that kind of leads into something that you did this past week, which was a recreation of Bryson DeChambeau's house, because he's been doing these hole-in-one challenge for the last like 2 weeks, where he's trying to hit a hole-in-one from, looks like his front driveway over his house into his green on the backyard. And that's kind of been a viral hit.
Yeah.
Can you, and then as of yesterday, has been taken down. So I think it was up for like 24 hours, available in GSPro. So can you kind of take us through the timeline of like when you first heard about this to making it to where we're at today with that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I like Bryson DeChambeau. I watch a lot of YouTube golf. I watch like Bob Does Sports, good, not as much anymore, but like Mr. Short Game, Brian Bros. I mean, I build courses, so I like to have something on when I do that. So I'm watching a ton of YouTube golf. So I like Bryson's, like Break 50 Challenge, all this kind of stuff. So I was aware from it from the beginning, and then typically I don't like to listen to the Facebook posts, but everyone always suggests build this course, and I don't really listen to that. So I have enough time on my hand, enough stuff to do, but listen to Facebook people. So I just thought it'd be fun to do with our Dyer, and he built the house, and I just thought it'd be really cool for the sim community to kind of like do this. It'd be fun, and especially over the holidays with people coming over to people's houses, trying things on the sim. I know that's pretty popular. My family's gonna do that at my house, so I just thought it'd be fun, and it was fun for a little while, and now it's gone.
So how long did it take you to make it? Because it's essentially just one hole, right? With the 3D house.
A couple days. Yeah, about
days.
a lot of hours. My wife wasn't happy with me on Saturday and Sunday, but got about 25 hours total is what it took. So.
And so then you received a request from Bryson's attorneys or something, or to ask that it be removed. Did that go directly to you, or does that kind of go to GSPro and then they remove it and just tell you what happened?
It's just GSPro. Yeah.
Okay. Well, probably not a whole lot that you want to say about that, but
not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
But too bad. Because did you have any idea how? I mean, I guess people were asking for it, right?
There was like a couple posts on it, but I had no idea it was going to get this big. So I mean, it was everywhere for about a day. So it was cool. It was really cool to see.
My little brother, who plays golf maybe twice a year and is like the most casual golf fan or whatever, he was hey, have you seen what Bryson's doing, this hole-in-one thing? And I said, yeah, I know. And then like a day later, I took a picture of my simulator with Bryson's house on it. Yeah. And he was like, oh, that's so cool. And then we saw Martin Borgmeyer, I think is his name, who is kind of a golf influencer. He was within the first few hours on his social media, playing it in GSPro. So, I mean, I think that's probably been the most viral kind of touch of GSPro we've seen.
Bryson even on a TikTok. Like he said,
I heard it. Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know what he said.
He said legit, I think is what his comment was. Yeah.
That sounds like permission.
No, apparently not. Yeah, but it's cool. Like even the head pro at my course, he's a young guy. He's on TikTok all the time. He sent me this video. I'm like, hey, dude, I built that. So he's like, well, so.
Well, you're welcome to use my house if you want to. It doesn't look like his, but the concept would be the same.
Not the same effect. Well, you see today the Jay from Golf Simulator Videos, he posted like him hitting over his house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spud Run, friend of mine, Jeremy. If you ever seen any of his stuff on YouTube, he has a shack at his home. He built a hole at his Airbnb, so he has an entire golf hole with 9 different golf tee boxes. And he's been trying to hit over his shed the last same amount of time that Bryson's been doing his thing, trying to get a hole-in-one too.
That's funny.
It's not as fancy of a.
Not as fancy, but well, Jay's house might be nicer than Bryson's. It was really nice.
I think I've
Well,
seen it
that
too.
losing a course on the simulator or having it being taken down for trademark issues or whatever, that's something that's this isn't the first time it's happened. I guess none of us are lawyers, so we can't really comment on whether you know they have any any standing to do it, but nonetheless, obviously you're going to comply with their ask, or GSPro is. And but like I was saying, the having courses removed isn't a new thing, and I know you've had some removed, and other designers have put a lot of time into courses they've gotten removed. Have you guys, I guess, learned anything to avoid when you're, talking about a regular golf course, not somebody's house, but to try and keep them up, as far as logos on the screen or anything like that?
Avoid trademarks, pretty
Trademarks,
much. Yeah, avoid things like that, logos, big courses. I've had 3 removed, and then 2 of them are back up. But yeah, it's just avoid logos, avoid big courses. If you're going to do a big course, avoid anything that's proprietary. And you can look it up. You can look on all the trademarks that are valid, and that's what we do for like big courses. There's just I think a US like search for it. I have it bookmarked, but I'll look it up before I do a course just to make sure.
I've seen a bill. I seen some bill about a year or so ago where they were trying to pass a bill that would trademark or copyright the actual layout of a course, or something to do with that.
Birdie law, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not a good thing for us. So
no, that's what I was thinking when I saw it.
So you said a couple of them have gotten published again. You've removed trademarks or whatnot. Have you ever like republished something and then had the lawyers come back and say, nope, not good enough, take it down? Or
yeah, so
Okay.
there's no standing if like you were saying, Derrik, there's no law that trademarks a design of a hole, with the exception of Sawgrass, which they changed. So if you notice, 17 is not how 17 is in real life. So
I haven't noticed.
Yeah,
I haven't either.
They trademarked the whole layout. So the real Sawgrass has that, the rough bridge beyond on the left hand side. So now it's essentially an island in GSPro.
I didn't even notice.
Yep.
Nope.
Fun stuff.
Any other projects you've got coming up that you want to tease?
I'm building a couple really cool courses. King's Barnes, which not a lot of people here in the U.S. actually know of it, and I didn't even know of it until I started looking into it. It's about 5 miles from the old course, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's like so my a client asked me to build it, and he chose kind of like the middle tier. And I've only done this to a couple courses. And once I started building it, I'm like, I'm going to spend way too much time on this. Like, I love this course, and I'm going to get like $10 an hour on this once I finish it. So I emailed him and I was like, hey, do you want to like bump up to like the higher level? And he's like, yeah, I'm all in. So it's going to be awesome. It's it's a link style course. It's right next to St. Andrews, and so I'm building that. I'm building St. Andrews Castle course right next to St. Andrews. Both of those are probably going to be coming in the next a month and a half. I have my board right next to me, so I have some other cool ones coming up. Lost Dunes, Hilton Head National, and Wekopa in Arizona. Some other popular courses. So yep, got some good ones. Oh, and Prairie Club, Ozark National. Have a couple fantasy courses. I'm working on way too many courses right now. I think that's it.
Do you get
always
much?
have multiple courses at the same time, in different stages, or
I'm working on like 16 different courses right now.
What's the turnaround time for one, roughly?
It
Depending,
depends.
obviously, but
It depends on the client, to be honest. Some clients don't care at all about like how perfect it is, and so they kind of just give me carte blanche, and they're like, do it, and that frees me up, and I can just go start to finish on a course. Other clients are more particular, and so for every course, I will send the splines to the client to look over, and review just to make sure everything's perfect. Because like you said, I don't know the course, and I could have missed a tee box. I could have missed the shape of a green, that kind of stuff, or a bunker hidden by a tree on a satellite image because that's how we trace the courses is the satellite imagery. So we rely on that. So, if a client is really quick to getting back with me within like a day, I'll just keep going on. But if I'm not going to sit around and wait for, 3 days for a client to review a spline, I'll start on the next one, or, start working on the one I had already started. So, if I had no, restrictions on building a course, I could have, a lighter build done in 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, maybe a max.
I was thinking it's like 3 or 4 times that. So, okay, cool.
And it's about probably 20, 25 hours for a light build. Medium builds, probably 35 to 40 hours ish. And then higher end builds, 60 plus. So it just depends.
Other than the assets being used for these levels, is there anything else that goes into it other than like the mount? Let's say like you could build a course with a bunch of trees, but is there different quality of trees? Put it that way.
Oh yeah. If you look at the first GSPro courses, like even the ones that I built, my first course I ever built was my home course, and it's absolutely trash right now. If you look at a Bent Tree Golf Club, it's in Council Bluffs, Iowa. It looks so bad. The trees, I had like 2 models of trees, and right now I have probably 60 at least. So the assets make the course. Like, and that's one thing, like the newer designers, they don't have all the repertoire of assets that I have. I spent thousands of dollars on assets throughout my 3+ years doing this now. So that it makes a huge difference. What's cool about OPCD is a lot of these guys are building houses, tree models, grasses, and they're putting them, making them available for everyone for free to use, which brings the level of everybody's course up, that's what's so awesome about the community. So that's cool.
We heard a lot about, I can't remember, is it version 4 tools or version 3 tools or something, but there was kind of a new version 4 tools, courses coming out with V4 tools, and there was a lot of confusion I think I saw on that, where people were thinking that a course made with version 4 tools was better. But my understanding was it just made your job easier as a designer, not necessarily a better quality.
So it
product.
makes it easier to make a nicer course is basically what it will do. There's no difference in like graphics quality. Like Paynes Valley, a course I built, it looks just as good as any of the newer course that I built. It holds up pretty well, and that's a V3 course.
That's one of my favorite ones to play. Yeah, I like that one.
That's what's cool. Like as designers, we love seeing that people suggest our courses. It's cool. Like people, because it's a super easy course. It's wide open, bomber's paradise, but it makes it easier to build a nicer course with the V4 tools. So a lot of the materials are already like set for us and things like that, where it introduced blends. So if you look at a V3 course, there's what we call blends. So like the blend between a fairway and the rough, and the green and the fairway, or the green and the semi-rough, or whatever. There's a sliver of mesh that blends those materials from green to fairway, whereas before it was a hard line. And if you go back and look at courses, you'll see that hard line, unless you're using the satellite shader, which you can kind of blur it out and make it look nicer. But that's the difference. Just easier to make a nicer course.
So if someone was a beginner and they were going to make their very first course, how many hours do you think that they would need to put in to get their first course done? Obviously, you do it much faster, but
my first course, it took me like 150 hours. I quit like 3 times. I did. I hated it. I was cussing on the forums. I was not happy. So, I remember we were just talking about this yesterday on the OPCD Discord. Some new guys were asking about this kind of stuff, and I was like, I remember getting made fun of. People called my first course a cartoon, and I was like, screw you guys. I want to make this good. It just depends on how quick you are to pick up new things. And I thought I was like, I worked in computers my whole life. Like I've been on a computer my whole life. Fairly proficient at learning new things, but it still took me 100+ hours. But now with the new tools, and the resources, it's so much easier. New guys could probably, if you're good at picking things up, probably 40 to 60 hours probably is what it would take you to do your first course. If you're good at following directions, the resources are available for you to make your
Now,
course.
is it as simple as you build one hole, you can build 18? Is that kind of okay?
That's
So
what they
really,
say to start with one hole, and I was stupid. I didn't do that because I'm a knucklehead. So start with one hole, and if you can get that done, it'll just go from there. It's fun. Like I always advocate people, like if they don't want to pay me money to build a course, do it yourself. It's awesome. It's a great learning experience. And people ping me and message me on Messenger and on Discord every single day. I get questions from people, and I'm always happy to help. Obviously I'm not going to spend my day helping people because I have a job, but if people ask me a question, I'll answer, and I'll try to help them as best I can or point them in the right direction. It's a great learning experience. So and for people who don't want to pay and want to learn, they kind of come to the realization like, oh, this is why you charge money to build a course.
yeah. I tell people if you're going to learn to build courses, you might want to go ahead and start doing it as a side business, because it's going to be a whole class that you're going to get involved in.
Yeah, it's fun. I obviously love it. So it's a lot of fun. I'm lucky I get to do it for a job.
Yeah,
Hard work, but it's fun.
And you get to tell people, hey, I made that course.
Yeah, exactly.
GSPro.
It's
you get
fun.
to chat with all the big celebrities.
Hardly. That's one thing.
So
we're kind of like the wizard behind the curtain. Like a lot of people don't even know that who built the courses. They kind of took that away when GSPro changed their interface. Couldn't see a designer, where early on the designer was prominent on display, and I think they reverted it back to it now. So
One last question for you. So if you had to take down every single course and only keep one, what would be the one course that you'd want to keep that you would have to leave on there?
probably Central Parks. They're my favorite courses. I spent a lot of time and energy, and I designed that course, and I just love it. It was a passion project, and it was a lot of fun, and I think it turned out really great. So,
And that one's on Operation 36, is it not?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I also played that one a bunch.
That one is great. And then I know we mentioned at Paynes Valley that I made a video where I think the title was my favorite course of all time. And I think back to what you're talking about, just the look of that course. I don't know how you designed it. It looks unlike any other course where it's just kind of a little bit overcast.
Yeah.
And those colors, it's awesome.
Yeah, if I had to choose a second course, that would probably be it. Even though Paynes Valley is by far my most popular course I built.
Do you get numbers on these at all? How does that exist anywhere?
Okay, I'm sure it exists somewhere. I don't have access to it, so it'd be cool to know.
Make it up. We'll never know.
Millions of downloads. I could say it's the most popular course ever. No one could argue with me.
No way of checking that. Sure.
All right. Well, we know you've got a life and work to get back to. We really, really, really appreciate you taking the time to come on and be our first guest ever.
How can they get a hold of you if they want to have a course built?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So my email address is Judd Shea, JUDDSHEA at simgolfdesigns.com. That's SIMGOLFDESIGNS.com. Or my Patreon is RunPuddRun. Just if you look up GSPro and then RunPuddRun, I'm one of the 4 designers on there. Or my Discord is RunPuddRun, RunPuddRun for all those things. So that's an old high school nickname. So talk with me.
And if they want a quote for a course, just email you.
Yeah, just email me. I have my website, simgolfdesigns.com, has a form on there.
Okay.
And you can just fill it out and I'll respond and get you a quote. So,
and if anybody out there has 3 or 4 guys that play together, you can come together, put your money together, contact him, and have your course built. Don't think you got to do it all yourself. Even if you find somebody that's a few miles away from you, chances are, the person that built my home course here, I didn't even know it happened. So there's people around here that I could help pay for it if someone would let me know.
That's another thing. It's so impossible to get people to agree on it. It's suggested every single day on Facebook, and it never works out.
Yeah.
I even had a client just now who went in with 4 guys to build a course, and they all backed out mid-build, and so he fronted the whole bill. So I'm just like,
well, they wouldn't be playing it then, would they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ouch. All right. Appreciate it. And We'll have you again on sometime when you got something new in the works. You want
Yeah, for sure.
talk about?
My pleasure.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.